The reason enlightenment is the end of all suffering actually has very little to do with enlightenment itself. It's because all of our belief systems are very toxic and cause a lot of suffering, and you have to drop the belief systems in order to become enlightened. So the fact that you end up without this toxic belief system dragging your spirit into despair is just a side effect. So it's good to work on the belief systems. And this is one of the reasons that you'll notice so many non-duality teachers, enlightenment teachers, talk about the specifics involved in being awake and how you can tell that the belief systems are silly and unnecessary. One of the most toxic belief systems that we have is believing in love and peace and harmony. It's like, what? Right? You'd think that would be a really good thing to believe in. But the problem is that life is what life is. We are human beings. You know, we're living in a very complicated society. So attaining pure love and attaining global peace and attaining this idea of harmony can't really be done. So you're just constantly living in the angst of that. And really, it's so toxic because if you believe in love and harmony and peace, you're going to notice that the reason love, harmony, and peace doesn't work is because of everybody else. So you're going to live in this constant state of blame and agony that things aren't as they should be. Enlightenment itself is wonderful. You are living in a state of unity with everything, accepting of everything, even things that aren't that great. But that state itself doesn't bring about the peace. You can be enlightened and still experience quite a bit of anxiety and angst because you are living with people who are firmly attached to their belief systems. So if you want to interact with people at all, you're facing this huge wall of resistance with everybody you know. It's not comfortable. And most important, all these things are useful aspects of being a human being. Being in angst, anger, despair, all these things are great teachers because they make us churn and think, why is this happening, and notice what's going on, and sometimes even ask for help. You'll notice that in Native and Indigenous cultures, they're constantly asking for help from each other, from the elders of their tribes, but most important, from all the spirit beings that exist, the trees and the plants and the air and things like cold itself or heat itself. We can ask for help from these things just simply by listening, and then the answers come. So if you think that becoming enlightened is going to just put you into this, state of not moving, not belonging, not being, you're never going to get there because that doesn't exist. What exists is the real, true you. And what's causing your suffering is your belief systems. No matter how beautiful they are, no matter how terrible they are, like therapy, maybe you have a deep, deep-seated belief that you're no good, that you're ugly, that everything you do is wrong. That is a belief system that is going to cause you a lot of agony and grief, isn't it? Fortunately, that kind of belief system can very easily be seen through just simply by being aware. Is every single thing about you really that ugly? Maybe you don't have the best face in the world. Maybe you don't have the best hair. But there are really lots of things about you that aren't ugly, and all you have to do is look and you find them. You don't fail at everything. Nobody does. That's just the way our brain churns away. And so all these things are so good for helping us learn what's it like to be a human being. What's it like to be a human being right now? And this is why self-knowledge is so critical. Because it's only knowing who you are and being seated firmly in your being that you then have a place where you're coming from, that your awareness is awake and aware, so you can actually live your life and know. But don't go searching for enlightenment thinking that that's going to solve all your problems, because it's nothing about that. Enlightenment is simply knowing who you are. When you know who you are, you know that you are just an integral part of everything, because that's just who you are. You are not your belief systems. You're not your fantasies. You're not your illusions, all these things. Those are the things causing misery. Those are the things causing us to not learn from the mistakes in our lives. So enlightenment isn't about getting away from suffering. The reduction of suffering is simply a fortunate side effect.